Howdy, folks. Welcome to this week's Ag Report. So, we've come through the holidays, and a lot of you may have traveled through the holidays, visiting some family or friends, or just going to see different places that you wanted to see. Maybe you wanted to go down to the beach on the holiday, or you want to go up into the snow on the holiday. And so you may think, well, never really thought about it. But what do you do with those animals when you go somewhere, whether it's a holiday trip or a convention, or you go to visit some family or something like that? If you've got dogs and cats, there's places you can take them to board and things like that. But for we're going to talk about cattle mainly, and in horses. You don't just load those up and take them to the pet hotel. You kind of have to do little different arrangements there. So when you've got cattle and you kind of in your pasture, you have a sense for your fences and things. Areas that maybe there's a creek that if it rains kind of gets out. Maybe you've got a wooded area that has some limbs that fall down from time to time on the fence. So you kind of have an idea of your problem areas maybe on the fences. So you generally kind of give them the once over, go by and look, make sure everything kind of looks in pretty good shape before you leave. Of course, it's wintertime right now, so we're feeding hay. You kind of get an idea of how much hay they're eating a day. Maybe they're eating a bale or two a day. So you kind of plan that out, maybe how long you're going to be gone. You put out some extra hay in there. You look at your water. If you've got ponds, what they look like. The animals have access getting into them. We are in a drought situation here, so the water levels are going down. So sometimes you've got to do a little dirt work improvement on those ponds to get access to those animals. Sometimes it gets a little boggy down there. So you look at that. Maybe you got water troughs and some automatic waterers. Well, you kind of, give them the once over. If you've got cattle with horns on them, you might check your hoses and tie them to the fence there a little bit, because, we've all had that one. You put your head down there in the trough to get a drink, and that horn hooks that hose, and when she comes up, it pops off and breaks, and you get kind of a mess there. But generally, we'll also reach out to our neighbors if you got some family left in town, or some friends, something like that, and just kind of have them do a little window farming as they go by and look out the window. See that everybody's kind of gathered up in the normal spots. Being that it's wintertime, generally they're going to gather where you've been feeding at, so they can kind of see where they're at, or if they're off wandering, maybe they're out of feed, they need something. Maybe they can check that water trough, make sure they hadn't busted a hose or something like that, because that's really important. If you're on community water, it doesn't take very long of a hose running, and that bill can get out of sight on you. But those are kind of some of the things that we do whenever we have to, go out of town. You kind of rely on those neighbors, and it's one of those things that's kind of a give and take. There's not necessarily a monetary exchange, but your neighbors are going to go out of town one of these days, and they're going to need somebody to look after their cattle. So you can kind of look after it there. Now, if you got horses, usually that's a little bit different of a scenario. Generally, horses, folks that have those may not have large acreage for them to run on. Maybe they are stalled at night and fed, in the stall, that kind of stuff. And so there are some folks out there that do hire out to come and feed those animals. But again, I think the majority of folks, they have their neighbors. Maybe they've got some teenage, kids or something that are neighbors that'll come over and feed those horses, twice a day in the stall, and kind of give them the once over and stuff. But anyways, that kind of, if you've ever kind of scratched your head and wondered, well, really, how do they take care of stuff when they go out of town? Well, that's kind of a snapshot of what it looks like. Maybe you're looking to, go out of town, and you've, recently got a horse or something like that. And you're thinking, well, I need somebody to kind of, help out. Maybe I don't, know neighbors or whatever, you can go down to the local feed store there under the viaduct, and I'm sure they'd be happy to talk to you. And usually there's a young lady there that has a card up that does some pet sitting like that. That'll kind of check on your animals and stuff. We've had her help us out when we've been gone for extended periods of time. But you never want that call, from the from your neighbor or from the sheriff. It's like, hey, we've got something walking down the road over here. Does this happen to be yours? So that's one of those phone calls you never want to get. But to be honest, it happens to everybody. You do your very best. You try and take care of your fences, but in the end, they are animals, and Mother Nature plays a part. And trees do come down, creeks do rise and wash out, water gaps, and they do get out from time to time. And the local authorities, they certainly know that. They know if they've haven't had to call you in 4 or 5 years, and it's just kind of a random deal. So, but and I will say, over we've been doing this 30 years. Over the years, the local law enforcement, from time to time, they've been great. We've had drunk drivers and stuff run through fences and everything, and those folks will get out and help push those cattle somewhere to hold them until we can get there and help them put them back. They don't just sit there behind the wheel on the phone saying, "Yep, I'm watching them run down the road. There they go." They get out and they lend a hand, and we appreciate that over the years that the different law enforcement folks have been very generous and very helpful to us, and they look out for our stuff too. They have a route. They know what things normally look like. They know kind of what things maybe look funny, and from time to time they'll give a call and say, "Hey, saw something funny over there." So, anyways, little glimpse into the world of babysitting agriculture when you're out of town. Y'all take care now.